Let's see, here we go. Hey everybody, good morning. This is Kenya with 40 Entrepreneur Drive. I'm coming to you on location, so to speak. Normally, I like to do my videos as soon as I get out of work, usually from the parking lot inside my car, because it's the best time for me to have some downtime, have some quiet time with no distractions, and I'm able to get in a video for the day without being able to procrastinate. So today, try this again. All right, I have to get a different setup. Woo! A little crooked, but this okay. So today I'm going to talk about talking like a boss. So in my journey to become a successful entrepreneur, I know there are different, it's not just straightforward selling and making money. There's lots of things too that come along with being a successful entrepreneur. You got to walk the walk, talk the talk, think like a boss. And there's just so many different things going along with it. So today I'm going to talk about talking like a boss. So right now I'm doing a couple of things that you shouldn't do in order to present yourself clearly, concisely, and in a confident manner. I was looking up 2 articles online. Let's see. One is from Entrepreneur.com and the other one is from Innovatus.com. That's INOVAUTUS.com. And they had a couple tips on there about how to come across confidently and how to talk like a boss. So the first one, and I just talked about it, the first one was talking about dropping verbal crutches. So things like and those are things that need to be eliminated from your vocabulary when you're speaking, because it does not make you sound like you know what you're doing. It doesn't make you sound confident. It makes you sound like you're not really into what you're saying. So if you're not into what you're saying, the person that's supposed to be listening is probably not going to be taking you seriously either. The second point was not apologizing for your flubs. So if you misspeak, if you stumble over a word, if you pronounce a name wrong, don't stop and apologize. Just basically keep going, because sometimes people don't even know that you've made a mistake. It's like a piano player playing a masterful piece, and maybe they hit the wrong note or a wrong couple of notes. More than likely, unless the audience is a trained expert, they're not going to know that you messed up. And if you bring it to your attention and stop, oh, I'm sorry, you're going to draw attention to something that wasn't even noticed. Number 3 is avoiding qualifiers. Qualifier are words like perhaps, kind of, and hopefully. And that's something that I use. I use the word hopefully a lot. It makes your argument sound weak. So if you're trying to have a persuasive conversation, and persuasive conversation is something that you're doing when you're selling, you don't want to say, hopefully this will work for you, or perhaps you might be interested. You want to speak from a place of confidence. So you don't want your argument or you don't want your argument or what you're trying to say to come off weak. You want it to be strong and confident. Number 4, end sentences clearly. Make your point and then stop. So avoid saying things like and whatnot, and so forth and so on. So basically, say what you're trying to say, and just say it. 1 thought per sentence. I really have this badly. So no tag-along sentences and no run-on sentences. And I think for some people like me, they can be a little bit hyper already, or have a lot of thoughts going on in their mind. You want to say everything all at once, and you just want to get it out of your mouth and get it out of your mind and say everything all at once. But just because you're saying it all at once doesn't mean the person that's listening has the opportunity to hear what you're saying, digest it, and understand it. So stick with 1 sentence, stick with 1 thought per sentence. Say what you're saying, say it, give the person an opportunity to understand what you're saying. And I put a note under here. It says stay focused, and that's something that I need to work on. I was going to say struggle with, but I'm not going to say that. That's something that I need to work on. Okay, and that's from Entrepreneur.com. The second website, Innovatus.com, They say to speak loud and proud. So don't mumble, don't whisper, don't speak quietly, don't speak under your breath. If you have something to say it out loud, speak loud, and speak proud. Number 2 is use declarative statements. So if I'm trying to sell something, and this is whether you're selling or just communicating in general, if I'm trying to sell something, I want to know what I'm saying. I don't want to think. I think this is happening. I think they did this. If you don't know for certain, you probably shouldn't be saying it. So as far as Innovatus.com, they say to use declarative statements. That means declare what you're saying. Say it. Know what you're saying. Don't think something, because that also, I think, makes I'm just saying I think that also makes a very weak statement. Play with pitch to make a point. So if you're a naturally loud and rambunctious person, you might want to tone it down so that your message can come across clearly, or to emphasize on a specific message, you might want to tone down just so that person can lean in and hear what you're saying exactly. And if you're naturally a mild speaking person, you might want to make that point and speak a little louder so that your message can come across. Number 4, own the conversation. Now, I'm sure we've all been in a situation where someone is bogarting or hogging the conversation, and you want to engage, you want to be a part of the conversation, but they're just not letting get a word in edgewise. Here's what you do. They're talking. You interject. That's right. I agree with you. Good point. And once you've interjected and wedged your way into the conversation, then you are able to pivot the conversation toward what you're trying to say or what you feel passionately about to speak about. So those were the points that I got from those 2 websites. I also had 2 other points for myself. Let me find them here in my notes. Okay, so these weren't mentioned, but these are things that I feel make a good communicator and help you sound more like a boss. Read more. I know we don't all have a lot of time to read. Some of us don't like to read, but reading more. Reading helps grow your vocabulary, or sometimes remind you of words that you used to know, like maybe that you learned back in high school that you don't use anymore, or because of your current work environment, you don't use certain words, you don't use certain vocabulary. You use the same type of words, the same type of talk around the same type of people. But when you read more, you can up your vocabulary and you can up your communication skills. And if you don't like to read, what did I have down here? You could also listen to the news. And I know the news can be really depressing, but just listen in the manner that newscasters are speaking. If you don't want to listen to the news, how about some TED Talks? TED Talks are great. There's all kind of subject matter on TED Talks, and the speakers are speaking clearly. They speak, depending on the subject matter that they're talking about, the words and the vocabulary are not your average words that you would hear every day, but when you're grabbing these different vocabulary words, it makes your conversation sound so much more appealing and interesting, and it makes you sound intelligent, more intelligent than what you already are, when you can use better vocabulary. And if you're not into TED Talks, just motivational speakers, they're powerful and they are successful in what they do because they have a command of the language. And if you want to sound like a boss, you need to be able to command your words and get your point across. I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to say. Read more, up your vocabulary, up your communication skills. Here's another point that I made that I'm surprised wasn't on these other 2 websites. Speak clearly and don't use slang. So when I'm around my kids or around my peer group or around my family, I use a lot of slang and dialect and euphemisms that are kind of like either inside jokes or just the way that I grew up speaking. But when you're speaking to the masses and when you're speaking to a larger audience, you want to have a very, I don't want to say neutral vocabulary, but you want to have a global vocabulary. So just imagine that you're speaking with someone whose first language is not English. Some of the slang, euphemisms, or figures of speech that we use are not going to be understood and translate well to other people. So if you can just keep that in mind, that not everyone knows your inside joke. Not everyone understands your slang. Not everyone may even understand your dialect with some of the ways that you were growing up to speak. Try to speak in a global way Try not to use so much slang. Try not to use euphemisms. And when I say euphemism, I mean like you say, somebody's got it going on. It's the first thing I think of. Yo, they got it going on. What does that actually mean? Oh, they have them. They're carrying themselves well. They are looking quite sharp. They're looking successful. They have, they've succeeded in what they're trying to do. Like, I think a lot of times we use so many euphemisms and so many figures of speech that we just assume everybody knows what we're saying. Say what you want to say. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And try to get rid of all the extra fluff. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'll come up with some extra examples and maybe put them in the description. And I'll also put those two links in the description as well. That's my spiel for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for your subs. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing this video with someone that you think can benefit from it. And until the next time, I will see you. And this is Kenya with 40 Entrepreneur. Thanks very much. Bye. Thing. There's a video that I recently watched called How to Use Your Voice So People Listen. It's by a woman called Lisa Nichols. It's uploaded by Mind Valley Talks. It is an awesome presentation. Go ahead and check that out, and I'll put the link in the description as well. Thanks. Bye.